Hello guys, Forristicat here. Today I wanted to review Cornflakes. No, actually, The Last of Us. So this is a game that I wanted to buy for a long time. Ever since I heard Naughty Dog was releasing this game, I thought, okay, well, if they're not focusing their efforts on the Uncharted series, they must be focusing on something else. So it turns out that they were focusing on this survivalist horror game based upon two characters, Joel and Ellie, trekking about surviving the American wasteland whilst trying not to die by American infected zombies infected via a plant virus. So as soon as I heard Naughty Dog were developing this game, and I saw the screenshots, I tried not to get spoiled. I'm like, okay, what can I expect? I can expect a good storyline. I can expect things to happen at any moment, which is great because that's sort of like a hallmark of the Naughty Dog engine, is that when you're playing this game, you can literally expect anything to happen at any time. So like other games where when things happen, they happen in odd moments where you can predict, or during cutscenes and stuff like this. Literally, I've always liked the way Naughty Dog made their games, because you literally can be walking along, part of the environment can be affected instantly, something could blow open, and then the next minute you're hitting the square button as fast as you can in order to overcome something. So that adds an element of surprise, and as a result, it adds to the gameplay of this game. So let's start with the storyline. And before I get into detail, this is going to have heavy spoilers. So if you haven't played this game, I recommend that you have, and if not, well, you're going to get heavily spoiled here. So basically, the game starts off with one hell of an opening sequence. So you start off playing as Joel's daughter Sarah, I believe. One night, 2013, and right off the bat, that's a very smart anchor for storytelling, in that they set the timepiece for 2013, which is the year we're living in right here, which is good. And you start off, you get a sort of relationship. He loves his daughter, obviously. She gives him a watch, which is sort of a central theme throughout the storyline. It's like a watch that he always has, which is broken at the time of the event. And she falls asleep. She wakes up, and his daughter realizes that all hell is broken loose. She's got a couple of messages left on the phone from his brother, I believe. She hears cars going past. She walks into a room. As she travels downstairs of her bedroom to notice her father is gone. There's television news reports, which is very bizarre. Basically, something weird is going on. And that is confirmed when her dad walks in the door, only to shoot dead his neighbor, which has been infected by some sort of virus, obviously because it attacks him in a very vicious way, which is obviously something which his neighbor doesn't normally do. So he shoots him. Next thing he knows, his brother rolls up in the car. You end up driving the ute. You sort of interact with the car, looking left and right. All of a sudden, boom, a car crash hits you, and you end up having to carry your daughter, which is very important, linked towards the final scene of the game. You end up carrying your daughter because she had a broken ankle, and you go to the outskirts of Colorado, I believe, where this military guy puts his gun on you and the daughter. Joel's like, no. Before you know it, he's shooting at both of you guys. Joel just narrowly misses getting hit, but not before his daughter Sarah actually gets hit. You think he's going to get shot as well, but his brother shows up at the last minute, Tommy, I believe. Boom, he shoots his military enforcer dead, but not before Joel watches his daughter die in his arms. And I guess this is my second point for the game, in that the cutscenes of this game are really incredible. I've said it before with Uncharted, but this game even more so. When you're watching these cutscenes, it's like you're watching actors on screen. I was watching this game thinking, you know what? These are really good actors. I'm hold on a second, these aren't actors. They're actors per se, but you're actually watching a video game, and that's, I guess, my third point, and I'll expound that in a couple of minutes. Is that this video game does a very, very good job of making you forget that you're playing a video game, which I think is rare in video games in general. So once you see the water in his eyes, and just the voice acting, which is my fourth point, I guess, the voice acting in this game is phenomenal. And especially when you see the title sequence after his daughter dies, saying "The Last of Us," my brain was on high alert. It's this game is going to be a very interesting game, and that is because any game, in my opinion, which has the developers putting the title of the game in the opening sequence or beyond the opening sequence, or like flashing it as like a title sequence, or like basically displaying on a screen at any stage during the beginning of the game, indicates to me that the developer's ambition is something beyond a video game, that they're aspiring or like have like an ambition towards like a movie sort of game. So that means that they're taking the storytelling seriously. So right there and there, I'm like, sweet, we've got The Last of Us as a title card. So this game is going to be something special. And what follows in general is basically a survivalist horror game. So throughout the game, you meet various survival groups, and you eventually meet up with a girl called Ellie, which is very important because, of course, Joel lost his daughter in the beginning, and so over time he slowly transforms himself story-wise into a very world-weary, sort of battle-worn, pessimistic, fuck the world type of guy, to, once he meets Ellie, a very I guess Ellie brings out the sort of positivity in him. So Ellie very much is like a very cocksure, confident, naive to a fault, oblivious, but I guess in a beneficial way, in that she notices like the simple things of life and like I guess the beauty and like day-to-day occurrences which are beyond this terrible plant virus attack which has affected America and indeed the world. So what Naughty Dog has done is made Ellie, and this is something which is rare in games, they really have made Ellie a very interactive character. So, and this is another point in many of well, this is like a bad point in many of my other video games reviews, is that say like you're having a conversation with the character in the game, it's adding to the storyline, it's adding to the gameplay and stuff like that. When you take an action, like when you build something or when you interact with an object, it'll cut out like the dialogue that a character is speaking, during the time you've taken an action. And that means that that's cut short. That means you potentially miss like, an exchange of dialogue between character A and character B, all because you were trying to play the game. This game does not do that. This game, in fact, as you're like building like a weapon or upgrading something, they'll continue to speak as you're doing that action. And that is, going back to my earlier point, which is that this game, it doesn't feel like you're playing a game at all. Like it very feels organic. It feels like you're playing a movie. The design interface is very minimalistic. And I think that's a hallmark for like to calling it a masterpiece, which I'll get to in my final stages of this review, which has to be like simple yet sophisticated, which means that you can upgrade weapons, you can sort of collect things at the time, which as the IGN.com review mentions, that it has like a sort of strategic element to the game. It's like, okay, I've got some flour or explosives here, okay, I need to make this here before I can pick up this because I can't carry anymore. Do I upgrade this now or later? Do I save my pills to upgrade my maximum health an hour later, etc., etc.? So it has that simple, it adds that simple yet sophisticated model to the gameplay, which I think is important in any sort of game to be, in a candidacy for a masterpiece sort of status. So, as I said, Ellie is a very interactive character, and this really is just by this small, like there all really is in the details. Like you're walking about, Ellie makes comments, you can interact with her. An important part of making her feel real is like just the level of interactivity that she has with the environment. So she like looks under the table, she reads books, she makes comments on everyday things, she reflects upon the world as it was in 2013, just when this virus hits. She very much feels like a real person, and that is something which is lacking in other video games, which is that when you're with a partner in other video games, they'll just aimlessly follow you around, they won't say anything, they won't do anything. And Naughty Dog have been very smart to realize that this whole game is basically based upon your relationship between Joel and his second daughter, in effect, Ellie. And the only way they can strengthen that connection is by having you care about it. How do you care about it? Well, you have them interact with each other for a long time, and that's done through these cutscenes, which are like I said, expertly animated, fantastic voice dialogue, and just the way that as you're playing the game, everything is very organic. It feels natural. It feels like you're playing a movie. She makes comments. She speaks about the way life used to be. Her dialogue doesn't get interrupted. She makes like funny, childish, like singing noises and stuff like that. Everything, like when you're playing the game, it feels like you're doing stuff, but she's still there. She's still alive. She basically feels like a real person. So that is what I have to say gameplay-wise. Secondly, or whatever number I'm up to, I forgot. As the IGN review mentioned, that every single person you kill, and it feels like very much like Batman or Splinter Cell when you're creeping up on these guys. It feels like you're actually killing like a real person, because it does take like a while to track these people down, like in terms of enemies. And when you kill them, it does actually feel like you're taking real life. So every single face seems like a different face. It feels like every life you take is like has an impact on your character as a whole. Like, you know, you're sort of trying to survive humanity killing itself whilst trying to make humanity survive. So that adds an interesting dynamic to the story as well. And that's another thing. Like as far as interactivity goes, bringing back to interactivity, is that this game just makes it very easy for you to do cool shit. So basically, like when you fight a guy, and like, you know, like I thought to myself, you know, it'd be cool, like as I find this guy, if he does this. The next thing I know, like they've programming to the game where, you know, if you're by a table, you'll see him like smash his head into a table. You pick up like an axe, you see like a really cool animation of an axe. The animations of how this guy Joel, and of course Ellie, when you can take control of her, which is another. I had a feeling they will do this. Like you take control of Ellie to sort of give her side of the story, as you know she tries to protect Joel. Of course, when another main character plot development happens where Joel gets his stomach stabbed through. That's also fantastic. Just the amount of like animations, and of course the death animations, which are really graphic. That's why we got an R18 rating in Australia. I think Australia recently got an R18 rating. Like we didn't have an R18 rating before. Just especially there's big bloater guys where like one animation is of course the clickers, which are pretty freaky with their croaking noise, and you're never too sure if they've killed you from from a bite, or the next thing you know, like they're choking on your back and your screams. But of course the scariest thing is like those big bloaters, those massive guys where they actually grab you from behind. You see an animation of them like literally ripping your jaw apart like that. Fantastic. Play at night time, you're definitely going to get a little bit unnerved, to say the least. But of course, just the whole the way they make this game fun, they make the upgradable weapons very interesting. It just feels very normal, very natural. Like I said, and especially with all the recordings and all the little bits and pieces that add to the storyline throughout the game, like the notes, the forgive us, just the way you see like dead families and stuff there. You can sort of imagine what happened. It really does sort of add to the realism of the game. It really does suck you in and makes it very atmospheric. So what's another criteria for IGN's masterpiece status, which they gave this game 10 out of 10, and that is of course, and I've spoken this before, and that's epic moments. So epic moments has to be in any masterpiece of a game, in my opinion. And that's another thing. Superficially, graphically, this game is awesome. Like I said, the animation is fantastic. The environments are lush and they're beautiful. The soundtrack is great, and the soundtrack is another thing apart from the voice acting. So I think this is just my personal opinion, but you can't really have like a upbeat, pumping like soundtrack to have a masterpiece of a game. You have to have a more like a relaxed, subdued piano, sort of violin, sort of almost sad tone to a game. And I guess I'm not sure this is me personally, but I think that you can't really have like an upbeat, pumped soundtrack to have a masterpiece game. You have to have a really like more relaxed, simplistic piano sort of soundtrack. And this game had some violins or something going on in the title soundtrack, which I think really added to the game. But as far as epic moments go in this game, I remember I was playing this game for a while. I was like, where is this epic moment going to come from? And then I'm like, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? And I realized, this epic moment is really like just the culmination of this game from A to B, going on this massive journey, growing to know this character called Ellie, which is so real, and just maintaining like the high quality of the game throughout. That's the epic moment in and of itself. And I really think the epic moment, for me personally, was when you see the advertisements of this giraffe in the zoo, and then Ellie sees something as she goes across like a second story balcony, and she goes, oh my god, I can't believe it. And then she runs up, you think, where the hell is she going? Is she running to a zombie or something? And you see these giraffes walk by, and you can interact with her. Sometimes you can trigger like conversation moments to add to the storyline. In this case, you can actually like pet a giraffe with her, and the music there combined with her petting the giraffe, combined with her running line, you can't deny the view. Right there and there, I'm like, that's my epic moment right there. Like I really felt it there. I really appreciate what Naughty Dog did for us there. And if that wasn't enough, chucking the plot twist there that the only way to make this virus disappear was for Joel to sacrifice her to the Fireflies, which is the vigilante group, and have her operate on effectively killing her. I walk in that room, I don't even think twice about it. I shoot dead all of the surgeons there, pick her up, carry her in my arms, which is of course in reference to the beginning of the game where you're carrying your actual daughter Sarah in your arms, running out the door. You're running out there with Ellie, with that music playing in the background with her, in the surgeon's gown or whatever, the operating gown. You run as fast as you goddamn can. You go out, you end up killing a member of the Fireflies. You take her to the original house where it all began. She asks, tell me that everything, that you said is true. And of course, Joel lies and says that there are other people who have the cure in them out there. But of course, in reality, it's better to survive with someone you love than to kill them for a cure for everyone. And I think that really does demonstrate that I'm going to give The Last of Us a 10 out of 10. Is this game a masterpiece? Yes, it is. Last of Us, PlayStation 3. Check out this game. It is great. Thanks, guys. Forristicat out.